Welcome back, guys. My name is Patrick, and this is Edmonton Oilers Trade Deadline Primer Targets Edition. Over the course of the first three installments in the Trade Deadline Primer series, we've looked at the Oilers' forwards, defense, and goaltending, and identified the areas of need. Today, we will look at the targets I've selected to fill those needs for the Edmonton Oilers. Let's kick things off at forward. I identified the Oilers' top need up front as a physical presence for the fourth line. With the addition of Evander Kane and expected additions of Dylan Holloway and Brad Malone, I felt the top three lines were covered and physicality was the top priority, especially now with Zack Kassian ending up on long-term injured reserve. If you recently watched my Edmonton Oilers SOS video covering the third and fourth lines, you'll recognize the following name: Nathan Bastian of the New Jersey Devils. Slotting in at center or right wing, Bastian is on a 2-year contract, making $825,000, ending with him as an RFA. He has 9 goals and 2 assists for 11 points in 37 games played so far this season, split between the Seattle Kraken and New Jersey Devils. He comes in at 6'4", 205 pounds, and in my opinion, is the ideal target the Oilers should go after. The Oilers are extremely tight to the cap, and need an addition who can have an impact at an affordable price. Bastian is that target for me. I listed the Oilers' trade bait at forward as Derek Ryan, Zack Kassian, Tyler Benson, and Kyle Turris. Kassian and Turris are now both injured, but were long shots to be moved anyway. Derek Ryan I still think is a possibility, but the Oilers may want to hang on to him for his face-off ability. Tyler Benson may also have a new lease on life with the arrival of Jay Woodcroft. I listed those names primarily with the idea of creating roster and cap space. With Kassian on LTIR and $3.2 million freed up, that may no longer be an issue. Next up, we move to defense. This is a target I didn't have on my list before Thursday, but with the recent hiring of Jay Woodcroft, and most importantly Dave Manson, I think it's suddenly become a possibility. The Oilers could use both a left and a right shot defenseman, but if you can only pick one for now, the right side is currently weaker. If the Oilers are looking for a top 4 defenseman that brings toughness, leadership, and some ability to chip in offensively, Josh Manson of the Anaheim Ducks should be their answer. A top 4 right shot D, Manson is on the final year of his contract paying him $4.1 million, and he will be a UFA at the end of the year. Josh clocks in at 6'3", 224 pounds, a beast. He currently has 3 goals and 4 assists for 7 points in 43 games. Manson is currently on injured reserve with an oblique muscle injury that he sustained on January 18th. He was expected to be out for 6 weeks, which would put his return at around March 1st. Josh is the son of new Oilers assistant coach Dave Manson. Dave Manson was known as a tough-as-nails defenseman back in his playing days, and he passed that trait on to his son. Dave Manson was of course also a former Oiler. Josh Manson obviously wouldn't be an immediate fix for the Oilers, but many teams probably won't want to make their moves until March anyway. If the Oilers are unable to land him at the deadline, he could also potentially be a UFA target for them in the summer. I listed the Oilers' trade bait at defense as Tyson Barrie, William Lagesson, and Dmitry Samorukov. Especially with his recent struggles, Barrie will likely be a difficult player to move. The Oilers may have to look at a swap of bad contracts to see if someone else fits their needs better. This move would likely be easier to accomplish in the summer. We know the Arizona Coyotes are willing to take on contracts for assets, so that could be one way for the Oilers to move them. If they can get it done at the deadline, it would give the Oilers some very valuable cap space to use. William Lagesson has played well recently, and I think he would be an attractive trade piece if the Oilers wanted to move him. But like Tyler Benson, Lagesson may play a more prominent role with the Oilers with the arrival of Jay Woodcroft. Dmitry Samorukov may be the odd man out for the Oilers. With so much depth and prospects on the left side, I could see him being used as a trade chip in place of having to use a draft pick. He's also played well for Woodcroft though, so time will tell. Lastly, we take a look at goal. I think the Oilers need to add a 1A goalie who would be an upgrade on Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith. I listed Mikko Koskinen as the Oilers' trade bait, as I don't see Mike Smith moving, Stuart Skinner is the Oilers' future, and Koskinen is also a pending UFA. I've selected 3 goalies for this category that I see as a clear upgrade and who I think the Oilers could realistically acquire at the trade deadline. I'll rank them as follows. At number 3, least likely. At number 2, a moderate chance of happening. And number 1, most likely to happen. Coming in at number 3 as the least likely candidate is goaltender Ville of the St. Louis Blues. We know the Oilers have interest in Husso, and he has amazing numbers. A goals against average of 1.90 and a save percentage of .941 after appearing in 15 games this season. He has a cap hit of $750,000 for the remainder of the season. I would love it if the Oilers could land him, but as we know, the Blues are going for the Stanley Cup and may just prefer to keep 2 strong goalies in Binnington and Husso and just risk losing Husso as a free agent in the summer. He's a goalie the Oilers could potentially target in the summer as a free agent. Coming in at number 2, with a moderate chance of happening, is goaltender Darcy Kuemper of the Colorado Avalanche. The Oilers tried to land Kuemper last summer, and he's provided strong numbers for the Avs this season, with a goals against average of 2.54 and a save percentage of .916 after appearing in 32 games this season. He has a cap hit of $3.5 million for the remainder of the year. The idea behind this trade comes from Bob Stauffer of Oilers Now. He proposes that the Avalanche acquire Marc-Andre Fleury from the Chicago Blackhawks as an upgrade on Kuemper, and then the Avs would in turn flip Kuemper to the Oilers. Or perhaps Kuemper goes back to Chicago, then the Hawks flip him to the Oilers for a return that could include Mikko Koskinen and other assets. Either way, the Oilers would have to find a new home for Koskinen. I ranked this trade second because I could see the Avs looking to acquire Fleury and needing to move Kuemper. But it is still a long shot, as it requires a lot of different things to happen. Coming in at number 1, with the most likely chance of happening, is goaltender Braden Holtby of the Dallas Stars. Holtby has had a terrific bounce-back season with Dallas, posting a goals against average of 2.76 and a save percentage of .913 after appearing in 22 games this season. He has a cap hit of $2 million for the remainder of the year. For the Dallas Stars to consider moving Holtby, they would need to fall out of the playoff race. They are currently sitting in 5th place in the Central Division with 50 points. They are 7 points behind 4th place St. Louis. So it's certainly not out of the question, but they could also sneak in too if they get on a hot streak. They have Jake Ottinger as their future in goal, and could call up Anton Hudobin as a backup for Ottinger for the rest of the season if they decide to move Holtby. With his cap hit of $2 million and being the most likely to move, I think Holtby would be the best overall fit for the Oilers at the present time. This concludes my Edmonton Oilers Trade Deadline Primer Series. Well guys, those are my targets. Let me know your targets in the comments section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Have a great day guys, and I'll see you soon. Take care.